Mike, I don't know if you want to come up, if you want to talk from there. But a meeting or two ago,
He's got to come up somewhere, so
yeah,
come on up if you will, Mike. We're gonna get this worked out.
we talked about the Rural Center grant, and once it is obtained, how will it be administered and the administrative payment and finances. And the board decided to wait until Mike can come and address you on how it will work exactly, so he is here to address you on the Rural Center grant.
Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, nice to be here. I want to compliment you on your PA system, Mr. Wright.
Thank you, thank you.
And I think, unless I am mistaken, I think we were, in that particular instance, Toby, we were talking about the administration for the EDA grant, I believe.
That's the Rural Center grant.
The Rural Center grant administration will actually be funded through the grant funds. That was actually included in the budget. In the county's overall budget, that included EDA, CDBG, Rural Center, Golden Leaf, and all other sorts. It was included, except for the Rural Center funds, the administration funds were actually included in the county's funding commitment in the overall project. So all those funds have previously been built into the overall budget as originally presented to EDA and the Rural Center. So that's how those funds have already been approved by the board. What we talked about originally, as far as handling the grant writing and the grant administration, is we presented a proposal and the board approved it. On the grant writing pieces, we identified each grant that we would prepare and the fee for each grant. That's been approved, and then we just invoice as each grant is complete. What we talked about then, as far as the administration, because there's a little bit of difference in administration requirements from one grant to the other, is that we would treat each grant with its own separate administration contract, because there are different requirements for each one. And so you may end up with 4 or 5 contracts for administration services because it's just too complex to put all that into one. And besides that, you shouldn't, if a grant doesn't get funded for some reason, that shouldn't be included in a blanket administration contract. So we decided to treat each grant administrative services on a grant-by-grant basis. And so, but in the overall budget that the board originally approved for EDA and the Rural Center, that was included in the county's commitment. So there's no, I guess the point is there's no additional cost to the county
It's all built into the
from
budget.
anything that you've already previously approved.
Now, the administration cost is built into the grant, which is allowed, each grant has an administrative allowance.
Well, in some case, and it is in the Rural Center grant, Commissioner Jordan. One of the reasons that I think we decided, that you all decided to pay for these services, administration services, out of your portion of the funds, is kind of the same way you did on the engineering. It really expedited the whole process. That way you didn't have to meet federal procurement requirements, you just had to meet state procurement requirements to secure these services. And so it expedited the whole process as far as the grant preparation, engineering, and so forth. So basically, the county's portion, the county's funds that are identified in the original budget primarily are to pay for the engineering and the grant administration and the grant preparation services. And that's your match also. So it really kind of got 2 birds with one stone by doing that.
Any other questions?
Mike, explain to me when you said the match. Now, I'm the tail end of this process, so I didn't really understand that compared to.
Well,
I didn't realize when I calculated the numbers that Toby had up there. I know we got a cash flow thing for these
Right.
that we get reimbursed at the end of the process. But
Right.
what is the match process? I'm not.
Well, you're actually over meeting your match the way it worked out, just simply because we identified all the funding sources.
Right.
And we lined them up with what the cost estimates were for the project. And it looks like right now that we're going to probably be within 90% or so 85 to 90% of grant funds compared to 10 to 15% of local funds. And that 10 to 15% is basically going to be your engineering and,
That has already been dispersed.
no, sir, it hasn't been dispersed.
Has not.
No, it hasn't been dispersed yet.
So the money that we paid
Some of it
Kavanaugh,
has, but not all of it has.
so the money that we spent the Kavanaugh up front has nothing to do with this.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Well, part of it does, I think.
We
Because
spent
I'm not,
about,
yeah, I'm not privy to everything that you paid your engineer at this point. But I know
about
there's some work they did.
$290,000.
But they have,
And it's 60 more. I think on the budget number that's carried forward, right, to the expense.
but the rural center, just to address, your question about required match, the rural center, for example, requires 5% local match. The EDA is only going to take up to a maximum of 50% of the project anyway. So, you know, there was going to be other funds involved with theirs as well. So when I say match, it's not, all of that is not required match, but some of it is required and some of it is just funds that the county needed to put in just to round out the total budget.
So when you say 50%, are we still talking about the 2.6 or the 5.2? Phase one and phase two, what are we talking here?
5.2 is the number that you just created. I don't know where that number came from.
That was the phase two number.
The 2.6 is what we're.
Gus, can you speak to 5.2 million? Because I've never
It
heard
was
of
one
it.
of those things that had $5.2 million in it. Phase one and phase two.
Very briefly, I believe the 5.2 number is inclusive of expansion of your wastewater plant, doubling your wastewater plant at some point in the future. That's not contained within your current project.
Right, I understand that, but it was a 5.2 right there on phase two.
If you'd allow, I'll be glad to speak on where those numbers are and when I give you the status report of all the information.
I do know that right now, the budget we're working for the proposed project as it stands right now is like $3,096,000, something like that. That's inclusive of your engineering, your grant preparation, your grant administration, contingency, construction contingency, and so forth. So that's the project we're working with right now.
Anything else? All right, thanks, Mike.
Thank you.